So let's take a look at let's see what Yellowflash has to say about EA killing the Black Panther game and nuking an entire studio. Considering I was not even aware. Wait. I do vaguely remember this game now that I think about it. Oh shit, I do remember this game. This is the game that was gonna have you weren't gonna be playing T'Challa, you were gonna be playing his father, and it was gonna be taking place in during World War II, and you were gonna be teaming up with Captain America. That's what this game was. Okay, I saw like the trailer for this a while ago. It only just popped back into my head what this game could have been. Like, I remembered seeing the trailer. I saw no gameplay footage, but yeah, it was T'Challa's father back in World War II, and he's at odds with Captain America, but then they eventually team up. That's what this is. Okay, so this game got killed. All right, let's find out about this, shall we?
Marvel has a Black Panther problem, and it is now going past the movies. They've canceled the Black Panther game that EA was making. They're still making the Iron Man game, but not the Black Panther.
Making the Iron Man game.
And really, you know why this brand is hurting? T'Challa being dead. They should have never had killed that character. They should have kept him around. They should have just recast. But they decided they were going to monetize Chadwick Boseman's death and hand the role over to Shuri, who everyone laughed at because it was just a dumb idea.
Yeah.
That character had some good growth in the MCU. The first Black Panther movie, I liked that movie. It's not my favorite MCU movie, but it's not a terrible movie by any means, in my opinion. Sure. Now, the second one, that movie is a piece of shit. Black Panther 2 sucks. It's a terrible movie. There's plenty of videos out there laughing at it because it's so horrible.
It is right. Black Panther 1, it was not my favorite of the MCU movies. I thought it was fine. I thought that the first Black Panther movie was fine. But the second Black Panther movie, I never saw it. I'm not going to see it. I am not going to see Wakanda Forever. I have no interest in seeing it. Like, seriously. The fact that they refused to recast Chadwick Boseman, when Chadwick Boseman himself said he wanted to be recast after he passed, there have been widespread reports that when he knew that, when he was suffering with his cancer and he knew that he did not have long, he said he wanted to be recast in the role. When his time came and he passed away, that he wanted to be recast. And instead, no. Marvel did what it was doing at the time, which was ensuing it. And instead they said, we're going to put the strong, independent woman into the role of the Black Panther. And we're not going to recast T'Challa. We're going to kill off that character. The one character that brought people to the franchise, the Black Panther franchise, to begin with. The biggest reason why people liked the Black Panther part of the MCU franchise was because of T'Challa, because of Chadwick Boseman. That's why people liked it. And Marvel decided, okay, Chadwick's gone. We're not going to recast. We're going to pretend like we're going to be having this memorial for him. And then we're going to give Shuri the lead role now. And now Shuri is the new, better Black Panther. She's going to be even better than T'Challa was. because it's Shuri. And no, would someone be able to live up to Chadwick and be a tall order, Revan? I will not say yay or nay. I will not, because I don't know. But when the actor himself has said, I want you to recast me when my time comes, respect the goddamn wishes and recast the man like he wanted. But no, Marvel said, fuck that shit. MCU, Shuri's the new Black Panther, suck it, chuds. And by the way, like and Sunwolf, thank you for the follow.
Like, I don't know, putting your army on a raft and then fighting people where they're home in their home advantage of water. Like, it was just stupid. So they have some problems, and I think they know it. That's why they're trying to rush his son. I'm sure they're going to age him up to T'Challa Jr. or T'Challa Jr. or whatever they're calling him in the MCU. I think they're going to age him up, or they're just going to recast with a variant. We'll see what happens in the new MCU after Secret Wars. But EA was making a Black Panther game. They had a deal with Marvel for 3 games. Iron Man, Black Panther, and something else. And I don't think they've revealed that 3rd game yet.
I didn't know about the Iron Man one.
We know it's not X-Men. Insomniac, they're working on those. So what it is,
God help us.
Have no.
God fucking help us with Insomniac working on the X-Men franchise. We've seen what the Wolverine game looks like, and it looks fucking terrible. So God help us with that. We're not going to get, I have no hope that we're going to get good X-Men games. Nick, I hate to tell you, but it's probably not going to be. We've seen the sprites for Wolverine. Yeah, it was very early footage, but it wasn't that early. I don't have much hope for it. Hope. I don't have much hope for it, realistically speaking, I'm afraid.
No idea. But the Black Panther game, that's not coming. That's not coming. They've laid off more people, and they've closed Cliffhanger. So EA, like many video game studios out there, are laying people off left and right. I mean, the video games are not in a good place right now. The industry costs the cost of these games they're putting out nowadays are just too high. And there's just no way to meet sales expectations for anything unless you're like an indie studio. Like they're doing good. They're doing good. They stretch things.
I'm going to disagree with them on that there's no way to meet expectations. We've seen games that have met those expectations, that had high budgets. I don't know what the exact budget is, but games like Black Myth Wukong, I imagine that probably had a couple $100 million budget, and that game went like crazy. Helldivers 2, Revan, Arrowhead with Helldivers 2. I have no idea what the budget is, but for a game like that, I'm sure it was probably significant. And that is going strong to this day. Sketty, I am not familiar with Expedition 33. I saw Joe put a review video about it, and I need to watch that. But yeah, there are games out there with high budgets that have met expectations. There are. Do you know why they're meeting expectations? Because they make games to be fun. They make games that tell fun stories. They make games that are fun to play with good game mechanics. And they're not constantly trying to shove an agenda in your face. Those are the games that are making fucking bank. Which, as shocking as this may sound to everybody in the gaming industry, when you make a game that's fun and you're not making a game to pander to a specific demographic for the ideologies of activism, people will buy your game. People will buy your game if you're just making a fun fucking game. Was Black Myth Wukong only 40 to 43? I thought it might have been higher than that. Okay. The fact that the major gaming industry has not figured out this metric yet is very telling, and does beg questions like, where the fuck is all this money going to? Why are you what are all these hundreds or thousands of people that you're hiring onto your game actually doing? Yeah, Baldur's Day 3, there's another perfect example. Like, why are the smaller studios making games that are going like fucking crazy, yet your big old tentpole, quote unquote, AAA studios that have thousands more people in the development studios and are spending hundreds of millions of dollars more, putting out failure after failure after failure? This is not a difficult metric to grasp. And the fact that the AAA studios have not figured this the fuck out yet means they're either dumb as a box of fucking rocks, or shit's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about when it comes to the money. And I'm kind of inclined to believe it's the latter. I'd be very curious what the books would look like if a forensic accountant was able to get his or her hands on them. I'd be really curious about that.
Things out. Look at Expedition 33. That's a great example of how to be successful. So this game's not coming. And, they could have handed this off to another studio. Maybe they just don't see it as profitable. Because the Black Panther hype train is kind of over. If that second movie had done really well, and people will throw numbers around, that movie was not a success. Can you honestly tell me that's a good movie? That movie sucked. Now, the first...
It was not a success, and it has set up Ironheart to fail. Wakanda Forever introduced Riri, and then Marvel said, okay, now we're going to push this character into her own D+ series. And already people are going, are you fucking kidding me with this bullshit with Riri? Everybody's like, are you fucking kidding me? Nobody wanted it. Absolutely nobody wanted Ironheart. But they're still going to push it out. Honestly, I don't know what they're going to do after their Avengers climactic movies. Honestly, I think after the latest Avengers movies, I think that the MCU should be shelved for some time. They need to stop making MCU movies for a while. Realistically. It's just like with Doctor Who, they need to take the franchise and shelve it for a number of years until people get the bitter taste out of their mouths of the MCU, and then maybe actually bring in, either sell it to people that actually give a shit, sell the Marvel franchise to people that actually fucking care about the franchise instead of just pushing agenda. Yeah, shelve it for at least 10 years so people can forget about it. And by the way, Paris Milan, thank you for the follow.
First one, I'll agree, was good. I liked the first one, like I said. And I also liked the character a lot in Civil War. And in the Infinity War and Secret War movie. Not Infinity War and Endgame, sorry. No, he really wasn't in Endgame that much.
No, he was not in Endgame.
They should have just recast him. They didn't. And all of this is hurting this brand. Iron Man's brand is still strong. And he hasn't even been in anything in a long time.
No, Tony Stark is dead. And Tony Stark is dead, and people still absolutely love Iron Man more than most of the other MCU characters. That's the crazy part. They killed off their most popular... They got rid of their most popular characters in the MCU. And with Pikachu shock face, that the moment they did that, the entire franchise started going downhill. Because they got rid of Tony, Steve, and Natasha. Because they got rid of all three of them, the whole franchise is going downhill. It's not just dying. Okay, it's not just getting rid of Tony, it was also getting rid of Cap. And it was getting rid of Widow. Because I'm sorry, Yelena is not a replacement for Natasha. She is not. She is like a wumpy emo teenager Black Widow. And yeah, and they turned Thor into a joke. But like they took their tentpole people and they either killed them off or turned them into a fucking joke. And you could actually mark, like, how many times have I said it? The franchise should have concluded at Endgame, and even Endgame, in my opinion, was not as great as people love to hype it up to be. I thought Endgame was fine. I don't think Endgame was the insane blockbuster of a movie to conclude the franchise that everyone makes it out to be. The best parts of Endgame was the final third. The final third of the movie with, you know, the big knockdown drag out fight at the end, that was the good part of the movie. The whole time heist thing and all of that, I'm sorry, it was meh. The entire time heist thing was just meh to me. It was like, I basically, when I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, this is boring, but I'll get through it because I know there's got to be a big fight to conclude this. And the big fight was good. The big fight was fantastic. The rest of it, not so much. And there were so many plot threads there that they just basically went, fuck it, we're not even gonna tell it. Like the storyline with how in the fuck Bruce Banner came to terms with being the Hulk. We're gonna completely, like, the Hulk got shit on so badly by the MCU. The Hulk got done so fucking dirty, especially in Endgame. Endgame especially, they did Hulk so fucking dirty. They did not give him any kind of a redemption arc whatsoever, and that pissed me off. Okay? The Hulk needed a fucking redemption arc, and they just went, fuck it, we don't care about the Hulk. And they just, they said, fuck him, and they did him so fucking dirty, and I fucking hated it. I absolutely hated it. Anyway, moving on.
Game. An email sent to staff from EA Entertainment, President Laura Milley said that these changes, alongside other recent cancellations and layoffs, are being done to sharpen our focus and put our creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities.
Zep, I can tell you at least one person who didn't get screwed over. Iron Man. Yeah, they killed him off. Iron Man was probably one of the Iron Man and Captain America, I think, were treated the best. You had that moment, like during the final fight, you had Iron Man wielding Mjolnir. That was hinted at movies before. You had him actually wield Mjolnir and beat the crap out of Thanos with it. You had that moment where he's all alone. His shield is broken and he's pulling the I didn't hear no bell. So, I mean, Cap had, wait, did I say Iron Man picked up Mjolnir? I'm sorry. Did I say Iron Man? Okay. I meant Cap. Yes, I did mean Cap. I don't know why the fuck I said Iron Man. But yeah, you had Cap that had his moment that showed what a badass he is. And then his death is he got to live out his life with Peggy. He got to live out his life with the woman that he loved. And Iron Man got the absolute Chad heroic death. Like Iron Man he died, but god damn it, did he get the heroic death that he fucking deserved. Tony Stark went out like an absolute fucking badass. An absolute fucking dig-a-chad badass. Okay, I guarantee you, every theater that showed Endgame, when he said the line with the Infinity Stones in his armor, after Thanos says, "I'm inevitable," and he does the "I am Iron Man" snap, every fucking theater went fucking nuts. He actually was treated like, yes, his character died, which is very sad, but he was treated right. He was actually treated right. And yes, Getty, I've seen that. I've seen that sync up. It's fucking awesome.
So they don't see the Black Panther game as a growth opportunity. In addition to closing Cliffhanger and canceling Black Panther, EA is also laying off some individuals on both its mobile and central teams. Oh, yeah, get rid of... Nobody wants mobile gaming. Unless it's like Bejeweled or something. I hate that they try to put these regular games... I'll never do it. First off, if I'm gonna play a mobile game, I'll just bust out my Steam Deck or my Switch. When asked about the exact number of individuals impacted, EA declined to comment. IGN understands the total number of affected individuals in this wave is less than roughly 300 roles cut last month. These decisions are hard. They affect people we've worked with, learned from, and shared real moments with. We're doing everything we can to support them, including finding opportunities within EA.
Corpo speak, bullshit. As always. I honestly, but I'd expect nothing less at this point. I expect nothing less out of these people.
Where we've had success helping people land new roles. As with past rounds of layoffs, EA is endeavoring to place affected individuals in other roles across the company. The company has made use of this placement program with each round of layoffs in recent years, an effort that remains possible despite the constant team cuts, likely due to EA seemingly distractingly increasing headcount on other teams at the same time. EA employed 800 more people as of March of this year than it did the same time last year.
Wait. They're firing people and closing down studios, yet they're bringing in fucking more people? I'm sorry, the math is not mathing here. If you're losing money this badly, that you have to lay off a shit ton of people and close entire studios, why are you bringing on even more people than you did last year? The math doesn't work here. What the fuck is going on? Something be rotten in Denmark.
So, the relocation thing that they don't talk about in this kind of sucks because EA has studios all over the place. So I don't know if they offer people some kind of relocation package. I kind of hope they would. I mean, think about if you own a house there, now you've got to sell it and get a new house, and there's a lot that goes into that. I don't know what the details are there, but that does suck. I feel bad for some of those people. And then the email continues. The company is focusing on a small handful of franchises going forward: Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends. They will also continue to invest in Iron Man, a game that Motive is making, and the third Star Wars Jedi game, as well as maintain its mobile business despite today's cuts, while Bioware works on the next Mass Effect.
Oh, okay. Bioware is next on the chopping block. This fucking studio is next.
It's a head-scratcher, isn't it?
Yes, JRC, it is. BioWare is next on the chopping block. Because if the next Mass Effect game is not a runaway hit, Bioware is probably going to get shut down. And the IP's moved to another studio. Because they've been putting off failure after failure as of late. I cannot think of off the top of my head any recent games that BioWare has put out that have been successes. Off the top of my head, I don't know. And at this point, it's literally all the eggs into the Mass Effect basket, and nobody in the gaming sphere has any confidence that this next Mass Effect game is going to be good. I do not know of anyone. I have not seen anyone eagerly anticipating this next Mass Effect. Most people are fully expecting it to be shit, and most people are expecting it to fail. Because yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda, failure. Anthem, huge fucking failure with a shit ton of controversy. Dragon Age Veilguard, abject fucking failure. And they dropped it a fucking week after launch. So they could go to Mass Effect.
This reminds me, did you hear about people going back to Battlefront 2 in droves so EA can make Battlefront 3?
I heard about people going back to Battlefront 2. I didn't hear about it, the rationale behind it being because they're pushing for a Battlefront 3. That I did not hear. But I have heard that people have been going back to Battlefront 2.
By the way, there's a funny article out there talking about how the people at EA...
Well, Pat, I've actually been curious to play Anthem myself. Here's the problem. The last time I checked, and this may have changed, they were still charging full fucking price for Anthem. Like a $65, $70 game for Anthem. And it's been out for a couple years, and it was abandoned years ago too. And they were still charging full fucking price. So I said, no, not a snowball's chance in hell am I paying full price for fucking Anthem. Not a chance. No, the servers are still up, but there's no development. There's absolutely zero development. It's basically in maintenance mode. And I refuse, like, even with mild curiosity for it, I refuse to pay full price for a game that is that old, has zero development for it, and was a shit game to begin with. Not a chance. Like that is EA's business model. We have a game that we have abandoned. Really? It's $19.99 in the PS Store? Okay. I don't play games on the PS, right? I just play on my PC. The last time I checked for PC, it was like $65, $70. And I said, not doing it. Not for that.
Thought that people would just buy any slop that they put out. And they thought that, the regular audience would just eat up their shitty Dragon Age game, and that they basically wanted to reach new people.
Yeah.
So they thought that they could get that mythical modern audience to come in, the pronoun game and shit, and that Dragon Age fans would still eat up their shit. It was wild. I can't believe they admitted that. And that is the truth, though. And we've been saying that for a long time, that they basically, all these companies, in a lot of ways, were ignoring their regular audience so that they could go out there and get this mystical, modern audience that we tried to tell them does not exist.
No, they were trying to make it exist. That's the thing with this. The whole thing about the mystical modern audience that doesn't exist. All of these varied companies, not even just the gaming industry, Hollywood, and even beyond that, they're trying to will this mystical modern audience into existence. They keep pushing this shit out because they're trying to create the modern audience from nothing. And they refuse to believe that they cannot create this modern audience and thus justify what they are doing. So you're not seeking out the modern audience, like a lot of the commentators, like Yellowflash and everything say, they're literally trying to create it, and they have failed. They're not failing. They have failed. They are not going to be able to create this modern audience because the money is showing that you're not going to create it. But they refuse to accept this, and with any luck, it will drive them into bankruptcy. You know what? Let these companies continue to try and create this modern audience that will not come to fruition, that will not materialize in reality. Let them sacrifice their companies in the pursuit of this fruitless quest. Because when they do that, and when they run themselves into the ground and into bankruptcy, it will allow all of the other companies that don't bother with this shit and actually try to create things that people want and that people enjoy. It will basically just elevate them in this sphere. So by all means, companies, keep trying to create that modern audience. Let it drive you into bankruptcy, because we will then, as always, see the cream rise to the top.
And they're finding out the hard way.
Yep.
This email doesn't mention EA Sports, which, by the way, is in a tough place. I guess they've lost the FIFA license, which is wild. Man, I wish we could do the same. I wish football they could lose that, or at least other people were allowed to make NFL games. But anyway. Marvel and EA's agreement for Black Panther was part of a 3-game deal.
Yeah. Said you've never heard that expression, the cream always rises to the top? You haven't heard that? It's an older expression, but it still checks out.
A lot of game companies outside of Japan are trying to make games for the modern audience, at least that is how it seems.
Yeah. Oh yeah, game companies and Hollywood outside of Japan. Japan is still largely making games for the actual audience. And the West is not. The West is trying to create an audience that doesn't exist. Yeah, cream of the crop is something, but there's also there's also the expression the cream rises to the top.
It included Iron Man and a third unannounced title. Little has been shown of Black Panther so far since its announcement in 2023, though we know from a job listing it was to be a single-player action-adventure open-world game. And that could be a fun game. If it looked good, and especially considering who made it, it was a newly formed studio, and they had people that worked on those Shadow of Mordor games. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, Shadow of Mordor was a good game. It would have been interesting if they tried to include the Nemesis system that they had in Shadow of Mordor. That could have been a lot of fun if they did that.
It probably would have been a dope game, but I can't blame them. If I was in a position where I had to make cuts and I had to pick between Iron Man or Black Panther. Thank you for the follow racks. I'd go with Iron Man.
Rack Raz.
It makes sense. But, I'm telling you right now, if that Black Panther brand was stronger, and it would have been if the second movie had done well, this game probably wouldn't be getting canceled. They would have just handed it to another studio. Or they would have kept enough people around to finish it. But that's just not the case. They don't have confidence in it. These cuts come on the heels of multiple other rounds of layoffs and cancellations at EA over the last few years, and especially in 2025. Last month, EA laid off roughly 300 people, and then around 100 at Respawn while canceling an in-development Titanfall game and another project that they were working on. And then there's a bunch of other layoffs, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, I love how they included this in this article. Meanwhile, EA recently implemented mandatory return to office for all workers, a move that some employees told IGN has left many currently remote workers with concerns about what will happen to their roles long term. Why would you be worried about your role simply because you're being told, get back at stop working from home and come work in this office that we are currently paying to lease. Like, seriously. I don't get why people are making such a big deal about, okay, you have to work in an office. It's fucking crazy to me how many people are just like shitting themselves. Like, I can't work from home. I mean, yeah, they might be in another city, Bish Rock. But my guess is if they're doing a return to office, EA would probably facilitate getting them moved into the city so they can't work from the office if they wish to keep their jobs. They've done these companies do that. If you need to move, if you are work from home, if you got hired as work from home and you are not in the same city and they do a return to office, most of these companies will facilitate assisting you in moving into a residence in the city where your office is located. Zeb, it's my guess is there are a couple of reasons I can think of off the top of my head. One is accountability, because work from home, you don't have supervisors who can check up on you routinely. Yes, they can check up with you via like like Teams. You know, they can message on Teams like, "Hey, how are you doing?" But at the same time, there is a different feel when you work from home. There is a different mentality. When you are working from home, it's far more relaxed, but it gets far more relaxed to the point where you can quite easily get lazy. You are in your home, and it is an environment where you normally are, you laze around, whereas in an office, it is an environment that does have a mental effect. You know, you're in an environment where, okay, I work here. So that in that respect, I do understand wanting to do mandatory, work from the office. That way, people can get into the proper mindset. You can have supervisors that can very easily check in with their team in person instead of just like typing on Teams. Not to mention the amount of money that they put into leasing out these facilities for them. You can have better equipment in the office versus what you can have in your home. You can have far better equipment. So it's well, okay, Zed, you're talking about for me. I'm looking at from the perspective of these game developers, not me. Now, if I got a return to if I got a, say my company, and they're not going to, but say the company that I work for set up an office that I would have to drive into. If I was not streaming, I would be like, okay, kind of sucks, but fine. Because I'm streaming, if my company did okay, we are setting up an office, you now need to go into the office every day, then I probably would quit. For one reason, not because I have a problem going and working in an office, but because the commute time that would be necessary would cut into my streaming to the point where my stream time might actually be cut in half. And for me, that's not acceptable. Particularly since streaming is, financially speaking, a much better move than this job that I'm working at. No, Zed, I would not be throwing a hissy fit. I'm looking at it from the perspective of streaming, financially speaking, is a far more viable solution for me than trying to juggle going into an office with my current job, then come back and try to stream. I can stream, I can stream so much right now because I do work from home. And so my work desk is literally right next to my streaming desk. And so I can, as soon as I finish with work, I can start streaming, and I can stream for a good amount of time every day. if I had to go into an office, the commute time would significantly cut into that, and streaming would not be viable for me. And streaming is a financially more viable occupation, for lack of a better word, than my day job. And that's why I would make the decision. If I was not streaming, if streaming was not a factor, okay, if I was not streaming and I was told we're setting up an office, you're now going to need to drive to an office every day, and streaming was not a factor, I've done that. And I would be fine with it. But now that I'm streaming, it's a different story. So, yeah. Like, working from home is great. I'm not saying that it's not great. Don't misunderstand me there.
Lol, Ember works from home and Canito streams from work.
Yeah, like, make no mistake. I don't have an objection to anybody working from home. Seriously, I don't. If you're able to work from home, that's fucking wonderful. But if your job says, okay, we want you to return to the office, this is your job, you take orders, you go into the office then. They have decided that that's what they want to do. You can piss and moan all you want, like, oh, I can do this job from home. Okay, fine. But they're the ones making the decision. They're the ones signing the paychecks. That's what it boils down to.
And then there's a bunch of other layoffs, but that's where we're at.
Also correct, Peggy.
That is where we're at. I wonder if they'll get shit for this from, like, a lot of the, the Vices and all them coming out and attacking, IGN even maybe. Well, they're keeping the white man Iron Man game, but they're getting rid of the Black Panther game. I bet you that happens.
Yeah, I can see those articles coming out.
Of that if that happens. I mean, they're doing business-wise, it makes more sense to make an Iron Man game. It does. So,
at this point, it does, yes.
Check out my comic book. There's a link in the description. Square-bound, 60-plus page comic of pure action. It's a ton of fun. We've got some great covers, including cover D.
It's nice art.
Right here, which you can get for $17. We also have a beautiful cover from Kelsey Shannon and this beautiful Irene cover. Check it out. Link in the description. And with that, comment. What are your thoughts on all this? Like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed to that notification bell. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
The year is 1945.
Oh! Is he doing the trailer for the Black Panther game? I think this is the trailer that they leaked.
World War II rages from the halls of Buckingham Palace to the shores of the Nile River. Even now,
it's his comic?
The clash between freedom and tyranny is about to boil over. Somewhere in North Africa, two American flyboys are soaring high on a reconnaissance mission, searching for clues to a peculiar new obsession, with the occult gripping the Nazi high command.
Looks good. Pretty good looking comic. Nice. Okay, that's a pretty good looking comic, I must say.